Time, are you ready, Jackie?
Yep. Think so.
ICC, do you want those or be taking up front?
You have what?
ICC.
Oh, I'll take them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've already logged in because my camera wasn't working yesterday. And so I thought, "Fuck, that's all I need." But it's working now. So,
Yeah, I was gonna do that in case I have to restart my computer, because sometimes it gets.
yeah, and I'm trying to like close down things I'm not gonna be using and.
Yep, I hear you. Make sure it's all good to go. I just drag everything over to my desktop.
What does this mean? Why is it?
Now I said down the schedule thing, inflation, I don't know what it is.
Hi, Jackie.
How are you?
Good. How about you?
I'm doing all right. So you are doing the welcome and then Lindsay's doing everything else, correct? Okay.
I think the only other thing, I'm doing one other thing.
Was it at the end or?
Very end, I believe, right before.
Okay, I think I still have it as Lindsay, so when she comes on, just let her know that that you'll be doing that.
And maybe I'm wrong. As we move into. What happens at the end of her? How do we transition?
Which one?
Well, we transition at 2:15, right?
Yeah, at 2:10, Sarah will send a message. Oh, well, yeah. Are you
Yep.
talking about in between Megan and the breakouts?
Yeah, anything? She
Well,
ends, what happens, I guess, is what,
well, Sarah will send her a message at in 5 minutes, and then she'll end the spotlight, and then she'll spotlight Lindsay. So do you want her to spotlight you? Because I thought you
no,
wanted.
no,
Lindsay
it's
to
right.
talk.
It's correct.
Yeah.
It's correct.
Okay. Okay. I forgot to type in there though, end. No, sure. No, never mind. That's the main session.
Yeah, I just did the opening.
Okay. All right. 4 pages compared to 8 last year, remember?
Yeah. It's a lot less threatening too, to be at your own computer.
Yeah, exactly.
Although it's not threatening, but it seems like more stress.
Yeah. Are you home today then?
I am. I have to watch because it likes to show my bed. I think I need to change my comforter to gray.
People in and making them co-hosts or Colleen's a why is it? Oh, because now Sarah's got to make Colleen a co-host.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Are you wanting to let people in who are co-hosts yet, or do you want to wait till it starts, Jackie, at 12:15?
I'll go ahead and let the co-hosts in, yeah. If they want in, that way if we need to talk about anything, we can, so.
I just wanted to make sure my microphone worked before 1 o'clock, so. It does, doesn't it?
Yep, I hear you.
That's all it counts.
Sarah, I guess I gave you co-host or gave you host, and now I need to be a co-host.
I made you a co-host. I'm Mary Jane. I'm making you one too. Oh, you're good, Mary. You're good. And once this opens up, I'm turning my camera off.
Okay, that's cool. Poor Sarah just came back from
Yeah, I'm
New
super sick.
Orleans.
I'm gonna be
New
honest with you
Orleans.
guys. I'm super sick right now.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I have COVID right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is okay.
Not really.
No, it's not really okay.
But thank you for pushing through this.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello. Hello.
Right.
Hello,
Hey, Jenny.
hello, hello. Oh, it's echoing. I can hear
I
Colleen's.
can hear it too.
Lindsay, does my desk look okay behind you?
I haven't messed with anything yet. I'll give us a good background.
I think there's just a couple of papers out there that I had left.
Yeah, you're pretty clean.
Good. Looks like I'm working, maybe.
Jackie, I'm gonna step away for a second. I need to make sure my kids will be quiet while I'm doing this, okay?
Okay.
No guarantee, Sarah.
That is why my camera will be off and I will be on mute. No, I went on vacation the first time we've been gone since the start of COVID, and I came back and have COVID.
Oh, where did you go?
Well, I mean, we went to New Orleans, so there you go.
Yeah, we went to Key West though. I was kind of fearful, but
Yeah, I was too, and I was fine until like late last night, and then I kind of hit me all of a sudden, and I knew exactly like what it was. It was pretty clear.
we'll hope you don't have any symptoms.
And I hope
Yeah.
I've been vaccinated and boosted, so what we know it'll probably be relatively short-lived. So
Good.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna go quiet my kids and make sure Jackie, I'm pretty sure the kids have it too.
Yeah, well, that stinks.
Well, Keller's my crazy one, and he is not feeling very good, so he will not be in our faces.
Bless their heart. How old are they?
The 2 5-year-olds and a 7-year-old.
Oh, wow.
I am, yes.
Jackie, I'm probably gonna turn my camera off unless I'll be here. I'll just be behind I'm just gonna work until,
Tell time to give the welcome.
yep,
Yep, sounds good.
practice my pronunciation for Kuzluno. It always trips me up.
For what?
The guy, Kuzluno, that Megan
Oh,
studied under. All right. Why couldn't it be a Smith? Hey, Jackie, do you know how to pin that message so it stays? The one you got in chat?
Yeah, is there a way to do that?
I thought there was, but I've never found it. I thought maybe you knew the secret.
No.
That one then.
Sarah, did mine just go to the people that I'm in the room I'm in, or did it go to everyone?
It went to just the room we're in, but I resent it to the
I
waiting room.
saw that. That's why I'm asking.
Is Rebecca on yet?
I don't think so.
You might want to have her go ahead and just get on.
Well, I think she logged in at conference services, didn't you, Rebecca?
Logging in as a reason, I don't have the link. I was gonna log in under conference services so I can get to it. I was scared I might have to out.
Oh, okay. Let me just send it to you real quick then.
I'm gonna log in under me. Have you out, but it might.
Yeah.
Tell her we're also to open up her Teams chat simultaneously, okay?
Okay.
Because that's how we'll all communicate with each other.
Okay. She said to make sure you open up team chat too.
You to let me in.
Okay, I'm letting you in. Yeah, I also sent that to Faith and Brandon in case somebody called up front.
Okay. I Hey, Rebecca, Faith's gonna go to all staff meeting tomorrow and run facilities, okay? I think the only thing you guys need to talk about, that's a big one, is the flip from movie camera movement to the black commencement ceremony. And can I ask, is there a reason that I was looking at the schedule today that movie camera movements in D, because it's only 100 people. You're muted.
He reserved that space like a year ago. I mean, like back in June.
Is
And I
that what
think
he wants?
That's what he wants. I talked to him yesterday because I
Okay.
told him somebody else would really need that space and we could move him to B, and make it really nice. And he was pretty adamant about it. They haven't been back in our building for several years. They've been using the library at Shryock and other places. So I'm glad to have them back.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll just talk, you guys probably need to talk to that flip and facilities, but if that's what he's adamant about, the only thing I want to make sure he understands is that it's gonna look pretty empty.
Right.
Yeah, so as long as he knows that, because that's probably my biggest thing. And
Yeah.
thank you for sending out building manager reports too.
Yeah, no problem. Faith and I have been talking about it.
Okay,
So
cool.
We'll
Good
bring
deal.
it up tomorrow.
Okay, I'll let you guys work through it then. Okay, who is under the WSIU name?
That's me, Beth Spacia.
All right,
You get my message?
yeah, I'm sending you some.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm well. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me. I'm gonna try out my background, see if it looks better with the like kind of the blur. Let's see. You tell me what you think. Video filter. Background.
Hi, Jane.
Yeah. What do you think? Should I keep do the blur a little bit more neutral back there? Better? Yeah.
that looks
Okay.
good.
Hi, Megan. Hi, Jane.
Mm-mm.
Hi, great to see you. We're
Great to
so
see
excited.
you. You look great.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I think, so Jackie, I think we're ready. You all should be saying our welcome slideshow right now, so you can start letting participants in whenever you want, okay?
Okay.
Should I do a test run of my share screen or we don't think that's necessary?
I think you're probably good, okay?
Okay.
I gave you co-host permission, so you're fine.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Mary Jane Morris. I chair the Southern Illinois Pre-20K Educational Alliance and Closing the Gap Conference. I'm also the Teaching and Learning Director for the Illinois Education Association. Welcome to the 21st Closing the Gap Conference, Healing Together Collective Care for Educators. We appreciate everyone being here today. I want to thank the Conference Planning Committee who took the time to help us plan today's conference agenda. Thank you to our facilitators and our note takers who will be in the breakout session a little bit later today. We appreciate all of you and your willingness to assist. And thank you to the many stakeholders who serve and help sponsor today's event. Today's agenda will include a keynote speaker, Megan Marcus from Fuel Ed, focusing on the topic Healing Together Collective Care for Educators. After Megan concludes the keynote, we will then move into a breakout session. We have 3 breakout rooms planned, elementary, middle school, and high school, and each room has a facilitator and a note taker. Everyone attending today has been assigned to a specific breakout room. When we move into the breakout sessions and the breakout rooms open, you will automatically be moved to your assigned breakout room. Again, you do nothing. We will automatically move you to your breakout room. At the conclusion of the breakout session, the system will automatically move you back to the main session. And at that time, we will provide professional development hours and CEUs. We'll have a drawing for prize giveaways. And thank you to those sponsors who provided gifts. And then we'll move into closure. Thank you. As we continue to face the challenges that come with the pandemic, to say it's been a stressful year for educators is an understatement. Many of our educators have been negatively impacted by the pandemic. We continue to hear from educators who say the past 2 years of teaching has been the most stressful they've ever experienced in their years of teaching. And I see nodding of the heads. Yes, we understand. I have witnessed this firsthand through my role as Teaching and Learning Director for IEA and the many conversations that I've had with educators. Unfortunately, some educators have left the profession to seek out a less stressful employment. For our educators new to the profession, if they do not have the support needed to withstand the job-related stress, then this too might cause them to exit the profession. There are many efforts occurring in the field of education, all attempting to try and solve the issue of teacher stress and provide the necessary supports for those in need. You might be participating today because you too have interest in supporting your colleagues in your building and in your district. I hope we can all agree that in every district, we need to ensure every staff member and every person, whether it be a teacher, clinician, support personnel, and/or administrator, has someone who can be there for them and be their champion. We are all in this together. Educator stress is real. We need to pull together to support each other. We need to heal together. We are all excited to be joined today by Megan Marcus, founder of Fuel Ed and pioneer in adult social emotional learning and teacher mental health. Megan is no stranger to the Closing the Gap conference as she addressed us at last year's conference. And thank you, Megan, and your Fuel Ed staff for providing us with such high quality professional development last year. We appreciate that. Megan holds a BA in psychology from the University of California at Berkeley, a master's degree in psychology from Pepperdine University, and a master's in education policy and management from Harvard's Graduate School of Education. While at Pepperdine, Megan studied under Dr. Luis Cuzino and served as a lead researcher for his book, The Social Neuroscience of Education, which served as a catalyst for launching Fuel Ed and the exploration of how to translate the elements of a therapist's professional training into educator professional development and support. Her research with Dr. Cuzino and studies at Harvard combined to form the core beliefs that became the bedrock of Fuel Ed. Since 2012, Megan has passionately served the educational community as Fuel Ed's founder. In 2017, Megan was named Ushuko Fellow, a leading social entrepreneur recognized to have innovative solutions to social problems, the potential to change patterns across society. It is my great pleasure to welcome Megan Marcus as our keynote speaker today. Thank you, Megan. Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. I love it. Thanks, Laura. Thanks, Mary Jane. I saw that. Laura doing the jazz hands. So great to be here. My name's Megan. As Mary Jane gave me such a warm, wonderful introduction, I'm just going to take a moment to share my screen and get my slides up. There we go. And get it in present mode. Thank you again for having me here. It's such a pleasure and such an honor to be gathering with educators on this really important topic. As Mary Jane shared, I'm the founder of Fuel Ed, and we are a nonprofit with a mission to develop emotionally intelligent educators who create relationship-driven schools. As Mary Jane alluded to, my journey started while I was serving as a researcher on this book, The Social Neuroscience of Education. I was really interested in becoming a therapist myself, but my path crossed with Dr. Lou Cozolino as he was about to embark on this process of taking the field of social neuroscience, which looks at the ways in which relationships drive learning, and applying it to teaching and learning in K through 12 settings. What became clear during my time as a researcher, writer, editor on this book was that teaching, learning, and leading in schools is less about calculus or chemistry than it is about connection. You as educators all, I'm sure, feel that, have experienced it. But what we did with this book was really bring out the scientific evidence, the neuroscientific findings that really underpin this reality that teaching, learning, and leading in schools is a relational endeavor. Unfortunately, despite the importance of relationships to an educator's day-to-day job, right? You all serve as counselor figures, parent figures, mentors, and the importance of relationships to student outcomes. Just one secure relationship can actually change the life outcomes for students. And that person's oftentimes an educator. Despite the importance of relationships to both students and educators, I was pretty surprised to find that relationship skills, teaching educators about building relationships, is really missing from educator preparation and support, which predominantly focuses on an educator's content knowledge, really important, and instructional skills, also really important. But what underpins all of that is an educator's ability to build and maintain relationships. And so that's where I went about really founding this organization and saying, how can we translate some of the best practices in professional development from the similarly interpersonal field? And that's really why Fuel Ed was founded, to fill this gap in educator preparation and support. And speaking of educator support, it's been such a taxing season for educators, hasn't it? Educators are describing the past several years of teaching as the most stressful they've ever experienced, with a large number of educators reporting that they plan to leave education sooner than they expected because of the pandemic. It just seems that educators, with all of the energy and with all of the passion that they have, are running out of that surge capacity to just do more and go above and beyond. Our cups are empty. And so that's really why the theme of this conference is about healing together and collective care for educators. And at the end of our session today, we're going to have provided time and space for you to understand more about what you're going through, look under the hood to understand the science of toxic stress and trauma, to define resilience and the factors that shape it, and ultimately learn some practices that can help you and your teams move from this idea of self-care to collective care and healing through relationships. And so this is a large session. I know it's going to be recorded and sent out to an even larger group, but we really want it to be meaningful to you. So instead of just a pure sit and get, there'll be moments for you to stop and reflect on prompts that we'll be providing. So feel free to get a pen and paper if you want to engage in that way. And you're also welcome to use the chat box to share throughout our time. My coworker Jane is here to respond throughout the session, and we'll also have Q&A towards the end. So let's go ahead and get started with our first objective, really understanding the science of toxic stress and trauma. Every day we humans face various stressors. It's a normal, natural part of life. And we move from this continuum of feeling safe and at rest to feeling stressed throughout the course of a day, a week, a month, a year. So when we have short experiences of high stress, our bodies can handle that really well. Our brains and bodies are actually designed to quickly go into fight or flight mode. Our muscles will tense, our heart rate quickly speeds up. But when the stressor goes away, when we feel safe again, our bodies quickly and easily return to that resting state, to equilibrium. Then there are low to moderate levels of stress. This is actually where the best learning and where neuroplasticity, our brain's kind of receptiveness to change, happens. When we're stimulated enough so that we're not bored and we're safe and calm enough so that we can focus and perform without worrying about threat. Hopefully that learning zone is where you all are sitting right now. But what happens when children and adults are exposed to repetitive or prolonged high levels of stress? Examples of this might include those outside of the home, such as community violence, racism, living in poverty, or those inside the home, such as physical and emotional abuse, neglect, caregiver mental illness, and household dysfunction. You can probably add several more bullets to this slide, just talking about the pandemic stressors alone that we've all experienced inside and outside of our home for long and short periods of time. What basically happens when we experience repetitive and prolonged high levels of stress in this way is suddenly a bodily stress response, which was designed to function very effectively in small doses, is activated in an excessive and long-lasting way. This essentially has a wear and tear effect on the body, kind of like a car revving its engine for days and weeks at a time. Eventually, that car is going to get run down. Eventually, that car is going to take on quite a bit of damage from that experience. And that's the same with high levels of toxic stress. Stress from traumatic experiences negatively impact our psychological and our physical health, as well as our ability to interact and connect with others. Because trauma gets under our skin, the more threatening or prolonged the event or experience, the more chronic the body's stress response, and in turn, the more potential there is for harm. But here's why I said potential for harm. Even when two people experience the exact same trauma or stressor, the impact of this trauma on the brain, the body, and learning is unique to each person. The key factor here is whether a person had the opportunity to develop resilience. Resilience is the capacity to bounce back like a new rubber band and recover after stress and trauma. Let's break this down a little bit more, because I feel like in our society, we talk about resilience as something that you have or you don't have, right? I'm a resilient person. It's kind of like a personality trait, or I'm not really so resilient, right? I kind of like am easily broken down and it's hard for me to bounce back. But that's a little bit of a misconception about resilience. Resilience is actually something that can be grown and developed. So let's take a look at the factors that determine whether or not we can or do develop resilience in the face of stress. Resilience is shaped by three factors. First, a person's ability to tolerate stress. Second, a person's access to protection during stress. And finally, the opportunities a person has to recover after stress. Let's take a look at each of these one by one. First, the ability to cope with stress, also known as stress tolerance. Every person has a unique tolerance for stressful or traumatic events, and that's really based on their early experience, age, other factors in their development. For example, a young child with a sensitive temperament and a traumatic history might struggle to tolerate even small stressors. On the other hand, a mature adult who has built a sturdy self-regulation system and has had many secure relationships over time will simply be able to tolerate more stress. Paradoxically, experiencing a lot of stress can make us more sensitive to, not more tolerant of stress. Second, we develop more resilience when we have access to protection and safe communities, when there's someone or somewhere to go to find comfort or safety versus being alone and powerless during difficult experiences. This could be a safe place to run to, a positive relationship with a nurturing caregiver, or very often a warm and caring educators? How many times over the last few years have you been that person for your students? Finally, let's think about this third factor, the opportunity to recover from stress. We can bounce back from stressful experiences more readily when we can let it go through physical movement, creative expression, or emotional releases, such as being held, crying, or talking with supportive friends, therapists, educators, or caregivers. A really interesting fact about this last one and the opportunity to release stress is researchers have actually found that in our tears, when they looked at the composition of them, they found cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And that's not the same as other kind of bodily excretions like sweat. There's no cortisol there. So literally crying is our body's way of releasing that stress, ridding our bodies of those hormones, those stress hormones that can otherwise become trapped in our bodies and have that negative impact. So all that to say, the more stress tolerance, protection, and recovery opportunities a person has in the face of stress, the more capable they'll be to navigate and even thrive in everyday stressful situations. On the flip side, though, if a person lacks stress tolerance, if they lack protection and recovery opportunities, even seemingly small stressors may create significant stress. I want you to take a moment now to start to apply your learning about these three factors of resilience. Think about someone who experienced some form of stress, trauma, toxic stress over the last year. You can think about yourself or someone you know personally or professionally, whether it's a colleague or a student. The question you're going to be asking yourself is, will this person bounce back or be more negatively affected by the stress? To answer this, I want you to consider the person's stress tolerance, their access to protection, and their opportunities for recovery, rating each on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being low and 10 being high. Here's some more reflection questions to help you. For stress tolerance, does this person have ways to self-regulate and cope with stress? What are they? Protection. What, if any, protection did or does the person have in the form of a safe person or place during stress? And finally, recovery. Has the person had the chance to process the feelings and release his or her stressful experience? Take about 5 minutes here, maybe a little bit less than 5, to do a personal reflection on this in writing or through the chat. And we'll come back together in just a few minutes. All right, take about 10 more seconds and we will come back together, continue our learning. Loving the chat, and I love that focus on how self-care can sometimes feel almost guilt-inducing or like another pressure or yeah, kind of almost shameful, like I should be taking care of myself. And so hopefully as we continue to learn today, we'll kind of change the paradigm a little bit for what self-care can actually mean and look like in a way that's most constructive and helpful for those who really need the care, which is the educators. So let's dig a little bit deeper to our understanding of stress and safety and how it's established. What you see here on the slide is what Dr. Stephen Porges and Deb Dana call the autonomic ladder. Essentially, it's a visual of the human nervous system. You can see when we're at the top of the ladder or in the green zone, we're feeling calm, safe, social, ready to connect, grow, learn, and flourish. And of course, to teach and to regulate students. And to manage and lead a team. The other two colors represent states of dysregulation, which is essentially the experience of not feeling calm, grounded, or safe, and therefore not ready to connect and or learn. As we discussed previously, stressors, big and small, will mobilize our nervous system in an effort to survive. This survival instinct is what sends us down the ladder to what's called the red zone, which is where we're overwhelmed. Feel like we're running too high. We're amped up, overwhelmed. Sometimes this might look like energy to fight or even get stuff done, or energy to run from that proverbial tiger chasing us through the jungle. For educators, this mobilized state might have looked like mobilizing every ounce of energy in March 2020 to move to teaching online with just a few days' notice. Ideally, the nervous system is prepared to handle the surge of energy, but only when we have the opportunity to actually return to equilibrium and back to the green zone, which perhaps many of us educators have not had that opportunity to return to the green zones since that first kind of mobilization of efforts. And so what does happen when we're unable to outrun the tiger? What happens when 2 weeks becomes a year or more of daily stressors and unknowns of teaching through a pandemic? At this point, many of us may have moved even further down into the ladder, which is essentially a shutdown state or the blue zone, where we're running low and slow. This might look like feeling numb, having low energy, perhaps feeling sad, depressed, and apathetic, maybe not even knowing why. I personally felt I was in that state a little bit yesterday. And sometimes you don't even really understand the direct impact of where it's coming from when the stressors have been present for so very long. And so what the thing is that humans flourish when they have the resources and capacity to both stay in the green zone during stress and or return to the green zone in the wake of stress. Here's a really key point that I want to drive home. It's over time, it's practice with returning to the green, to a safe, regulated state that lays the foundation for emotional safety, well-being, and resilience in the face of stress. It's not just that, oh, I had the opportunity in this moment and now I'm calm again. It's actually experience of doing that time and time again throughout our lives that builds our capacity to do that for ourselves when we face stressors again. So I want you to take another moment to sort of apply this knowledge. Can you think of any times where you have practiced returning to the green? Can you think of any moments where you witnessed someone else returning to the green? What enabled them or you to do this? Take 2 or 3 minutes to reflect on that using the chat or a private reflection. All right, take about 10 seconds to finish that reflection, and we'll come back together. So at this point, you might be wondering, what kind of damage has the stress and trauma of the last several years created for me, for my family, my coworkers, our students? And is there anything I can do to promote resilience and recovery in the face of stress and trauma? The good news is yes, there is. And so for the rest of our time together, we're going to be building our knowledge and skill to increase your ability to counteract stress in yourself and build resilience in both yourself and others. There are a few powerful factors that can help you do this and can be summarized in FuelEd's framework for building emotional safety, well-being, and resilience. We call these the 3 R's, different than the reading, writing, and arithmetic, but also the 3 R's. The first is relationships, the second is regulation, and the third is reflection. So let's go one by one to unpack these, starting with relationships. Relationships are foundational and central to each of the other strategies, which is why we placed it in the center. While the impacts of trauma and stress are concerning, the amazing news is, just as the brain adapts to danger and actually is shaped in response to trauma and can be harmed, it's just as malleable and can adapt to the experience of safety and can therefore be healed. Many people think the brain is formed in infancy or childhood and then stops changing. But in actuality, the brain changes throughout our lifespan, and it's constantly rewiring itself in response to experiences. The brain's ability to change and adapt in the face of new experiences is called neuroplasticity. And the key to activating neuroplasticity is relationships. Because we humans are social creatures, it's through the relationships that you build that you hold the power to spark neuroplasticity, build resilience, and promote healing, growth, and learning for the people in your life. And the best part of all, research shows that it just takes one secure relationship to protect and heal from the impacts of trauma and stress. You can be, you are that person. Next up in our framework, we're looking at regulation. We said previously that the foundation for all human flourishing is the ability to return to the green zone. But how do we get that essential practice with returning to the green zone? Well, first we must consider the fact that we humans are born with a whopping 70% of our brains developed after birth. So we're born with parts of our brain that allow us to feel all the strong emotional reactions, our amygdala. We are born without the part of the brain that enables us to regulate ourselves. That takes not just years, but actually decades to fully form. And so how does that form? How does that balance come out? It is only through repeated interactions where an infant or child gets upset, caregiver steps in, and the child and the caregiver steps in to help the child return to a state of calm through a process called co-regulation. The child then returns to a baseline of calm, and that practice, with the help of another, builds our brain's ability to do it for itself. With their help, we can move from dysregulation to regulation, dysregulation to regulation, dysregulation to regulation, over and over and over. Anyone with a small child at home knows this can happen 100 times in a day. And in the process, our brain is practicing and learning how to calm itself. Our caregivers are basically serving as an external brain. We're borrowing their prefrontal cortex while we're developing our own. And that actually becomes a model for our own brain functioning. But this process doesn't just take place in infancy. As we move into adulthood, while most of us hopefully have some capacity for self-regulation, the truth is we continue to rely on each other to get calm in a process known as co-regulation. It's those relationships that make us feel safe, that have the power to move us along this continuum from stress to safety. It's those relationships that provide the calm amidst the storm, that build a bridge from stress to safety. And over time, it's our repeated experiences of being calmed and cared for through relationships, either in infancy, childhood, or adulthood, that we humans develop the brain structures and skills for self-regulation and resilience in the face of stress. We're going to continue to explore our framework. The final and very powerful pathway towards emotional safety and resilience is through reflection, which we define as the process of naming, noticing, and understanding one's own emotions, sensations, thoughts, values, needs, and experiences. After experiencing stress and trauma, the brain becomes very interested in protecting itself, which makes a lot of sense. When stress and trauma are unprocessed, though, our day-to-day experiences then become perceived, more likely to become perceived as more threatening, leading us to become more reactive in an effort to keep us safe. Let's break this down. Imagine you were bitten by a snake. In your brain in the future would perceive anything snake-like as a snake, just in case. So if you're walking in the yard and see a water hose, all of a sudden your brain quickly says, snake, get out of the way. Technically, your brain is wrong, and yet your reaction makes a lot of sense in light of your past trauma. The brain is essentially reliving the story of trauma, along with all of the same feelings of fear or powerlessness anytime it's reminded of the traumatic experience. A more reactive brain is a more protective brain, but the trade-off is that higher reactivity and less accurate threat perception make everyday life and relationships quite challenging. You may frequently misread emotional cues and situations, leading you to react more strongly than you need to. This reactivity isn't good for you. It's not good for the people you work with. And that's why, especially after trauma, time for reflection is needed to make sense of, to process, to move through difficult experiences. Much like regulation and relationships, reflection and relationships also work in tandem. They go hand in hand to help educators and students return to a state of calm. And so reflection shouldn't be seen as a solitary practice. Sense making with the help of a trusted adult or a trusted relationship is a powerful pathway for managing stress and healing trauma. We all need time and space to reflect collectively and make sense of our experiences together while receiving empathy and validation. In addition, for time for independent self-reflection. Relationships where we feel seen provide an opportunity for us to make sense of our experiences, to reflect in a way that helps us develop a story of what happened to us, in a way that allows us to move through the painful or difficult experiences because we understand them better. Researchers call this a coherent narrative, and it is a hallmark of folks who are able to move through and process and overcome traumatic experiences. And it is often or almost always developed with the help of or in the presence of a secure relationship where we feel safe enough to explore ourselves and our own internal worlds. So take a moment to consider, how have you experienced the opportunity to use secure relationships to help you regulate? Have you experienced the opportunity to use secure relationships to help you reflect? What are some ways you've provided this for others? And how might you increase opportunities for the 3 R's in your life and in others? Take just a few moments now to reflect on these questions and integrate some of what you're learning. take about 10 more seconds here. All right, we're jumping back in. Really enjoying our time together, and I love seeing the chat reflections. Thank you so much for your engagement. Feel free to keep it coming. So we saw some really great suggestions, some great reflections on increasing relationships, regulation, and reflection. And the final portion of our time together, I'll essentially be providing some recommendations for how you can do this even more and apply this learning. So we'll go in reverse order, just essentially building from our framework, but starting with reflection before moving to regulation and finally relationships. So here we go. So what could reflection look like? Reflection through relationships, that is, because as I said, those two go together. This could be achieved through either community practices, such as group listening circles. At FuelEd, we call them empathy circles, and we host them online for educators, in which educators show up and unload burdens they've been carrying and receive radical empathy in exchange. It's not a problem-solving space. It's really a listening space and an unloading space. Or another option for reflection through relationships could be counseling. Counseling is a great way to experience a secure relationship and have space and time to explore both past and present experiences. Engaging in counseling consistently can help you grow in your own ability to build secure relationships with others and to be that safe person for others once you have your own cup filled through that. FuelEd's provided over 12,000 counseling sessions to educators since 2012. And for those who are in leadership positions here, we wanted to share that when we've worked with school districts who actively promote, normalize, and create pathways for attending counseling or therapy, many staff, educators, and district staff alike engage and experience powerful impacts, not only on their well-being, but their careers. And so let's move on to what it could look like for you to implement counseling. If you are kind of in a leadership position, we'd love for you to promote counseling benefits. Many districts already provide counseling benefits to educators, but they're oftentimes scarcely used. Promoting and normalizing the use of counseling benefits can really, really go a long way. Consider providing training or support to educators in how to choose a therapist. FuelEd has some great resources for this on our website. If you're interested, just navigate your way there. And at the bottom, there's a section about counseling for educators, where we have kind of like a one-pager for you on how to find a therapist. I have found, even as someone who has studied counseling and therapy, it's always daunting when you're like, how do I even go about finding a therapist and knowing if they're right? It's a big barrier to getting started. And so just having a little scaffolding and support for how to look, what questions to ask, what to look for in your therapist can really help bridge that gap of getting folks started. Another suggestion is connect with local therapists who understand the needs of your community. Mutually beneficial partnerships can be formed between districts and local universities. This is actually how FuelEd started its counseling services. Teachers really do need that affordable counseling support, and universities have counselors in need of counseling hours for licensure. So there's a really great opportunity for synergistic or symbiotic relationship there between those training, the training that happens for counselors and the support that's needed for educators. And finally, attend counseling yourself. We really strongly recommend person-centered counseling, which is just a form of counseling that is really based on building a secure relationship with the counselor or therapist. It's a powerful way to process past trauma and heal in the context of relationship. And it's really important, not just for educators, but the leaders who support them to get this kind of opportunity to kind of work on themselves and have that wholeness so that they can be there for the educators. Moving on to our next R is regulation. What could regulation through relationships look like? So while traditionally self-regulation or self-care activities, what might come to mind for you might be like yoga, meditation, mindfulness, taking that personal time off, all of which are great. Regulating through relationships is slightly different. It might look like going to therapy, having time and space for collective sharing, or ensuring that all members of our education system, big and small, have access to at least one secure relationship where they feel seen and valued at school. At Fuel Ed, we've discovered through years of working with educators one powerful way to build a whole culture of secure relationships. And it's essentially a peer-to-peer support practice that we call stewardship. Stewardship is simple. We have educators who are matched in pairs and equipped with social and emotional skills like empathy and genuineness. The educators then meet in pairs once a week to share current struggles and needs and to receive care and empathy. Through this practice, educators feel seen and felt on an ongoing basis. No one flies under the radar, and building secure relationship becomes embedded in the culture. So here are some tips if you want to start your own stewardship system in your network. What you want to start with is make sure you assign kind of a lead for this. And then that lead could pair team members who wanted to be involved, and make sure that you are rotating every so often. At our organization, we do this, and we do 6-month intervals. And that way it really becomes of the culture where everyone can benefit and relationships are built across the school. If you are in a leadership position and have the ability to kind of influence schedules, it's really important if you can help carve out additional time or space for stewarding. We recommend 1 hour a week for this practice to maintain consistency and allow for greater impact. Again, adjusting schedules to build space for this is what's going to help educators feel like self-care is not just another thing to do, but it's actually a critical part of their day-to-day work, making sure they're caring for themselves and one another. And then finally, I highly recommend that you secure professional development for yourself or your staff in empathic communication before engaging in this. That is a foundational prerequisite to the safety and effectiveness of the stewardship system. If you kind of go in and just pair people off and say, listen to each other, support each other without those core skills, it could actually potentially create more harm and kind of reinforce some trauma as opposed to repair and heal. And here's a great quote from one of our educators who's been through stewardship. You could just take a moment to read over that and see if it resonates with you. Okay, moving along to our final R, building secure relationships. What could this look like? The last takeaway I'd like to highlight is a foundational skill to building secure relationships that are paramount to collective care and healing together. And that is empathy. Empathy is our ability to understand another person's perspective and to communicate that understanding. A lot of people think about empathy in this kind of colloquial way of like, I can put myself in someone's shoes. I can understand what they're thinking. And we agree that is a huge part of empathy. But the real power of empathy comes when you can verbalize your understanding to create a sense of connection and safety. That's where the magic happens. And it's a skill called mirroring. That's when we take our understanding of others and we put it into words, verbalizing back or sharing back what you heard to be their problems, feelings, needs, thoughts, and values, to show the person that's in distress that we understand, that we're there, and that we care. What this could sound like, here's some sentence stems. All educators love the stems. It sounds like you're feeling, I'm hearing you say, I wonder if you feel, it seems like you're needing. And these aren't necessary. These can be considered sort of training wheels as you get started. You can also just mirror in your own words. Gosh, what a difficult experience you went through yesterday. I can't imagine how you feel. That's a form of mirroring, even though I didn't use any of these stems. What's just as important, if not more important to know than these stems, are what empathy does not sound like. And that's where we come to this term that FuelEd uses called empathy blockers. These are very well-intentioned statements that we use all the time, and but unfortunately might communicate judgment rather than understanding, because they shift the attention away from the person needing to be heard. Let's go through a few examples of what empathy blockers sound like. Silver lining the problem. Look on the bright side. It's not the end of the world, right? We say that all the time to kind of cheer someone up. We have that good intent. We feel bad for them. We see they're struggling. We want to get them out of the struggle. But actually that can really dismiss what the person is feeling in the moment. Problem solving. Have you ever tried doing this? You should do this. Okay, so have you ever tried to vent to a friend or spouse and all they want to do is fix it when you really just want to be heard? It's really hard to get to that place of problem solving for yourself before you're ready. And so having a listener who can listen without problem solving is one way to actually get ready to begin to solve your own problems. And then finally, interrogating, asking questions, question after question to get to an answer, or analyzing what a person's saying. That can be pretty overwhelming and distracting from what someone's actually feeling and thinking in the moment. The amazing thing about empathy is it actually hits on all three of the R's of our framework. And that's why we think it's actually like one of the most powerful and potent tools that you can have in your toolkit to promoting resilience. Let's break that down a little bit to understand the science behind why empathy is just so very powerful. When you think about our brain, we have two hemispheres, the left brain and the right brain. The left brain is associated with language, and it wants to make sense of things in a logical and linear way. You can think left of all the L's, left, logical, linear. The right brain, on the other hand, is more connected to feelings and experiences. Emotions, sadness, anger, longing, disappointment, frustration are first experienced in a very raw way in the right hemisphere of the brain. Ideally, we want both sides of our brain communicating and working together in tandem. When they do, that's called integration. And integration is sort of the holy grail of wholeness. When students or staff are in a state of deep, negative, painful emotions, what's happening? Their right brain is highly activated, which can be not only distressing, but distracting. And yet, to calm down and regulate the emotions coming from the right brain, the linear, logical, storytelling powers of the left brain are needed. Imagine responding in this way to a staff or student in distress. Someone comes to you and says, wow, this year, talking about how distressed they are. And imagine you can respond and say, wow, the last year has been really, really overwhelming. You were so excited to implement so many important initiatives and also have all these special experiences with your family. And then suddenly everything changed and you felt really alone. Once you say this, it actually activates the left brain because now it has words for what's going on in the right. That helps us begin to move from a space of confusion to more clarity about how we feel and why. In turn, the whole system can just calm down and focus on learning and doing again. Now, hopefully you see how empathy powerfully enables us to hit each of the three R's: relationship, regulation, and reflection. So let's look about how we can start using empathy more in our own lives. How to respond with empathy to your own needs. First of all, think about if you can establish a time during the day to reflect on your needs and feelings so you can identify how to best take care of yourself. Commit to a physical and emotional health regime, whether that's engaging in therapy, prioritizing sleep, or exercising. I'm kind of engaging on this journey right now for myself, and I would encourage you to kind of think about it in an iterative way. If you want to do 3 things at once, see what's the one thing you can put in place, get that solidified before adding another. Prioritize meaningful interpersonal connection and self-exploration over distracted behaviors. This might look like long phone calls with friends or starting a daily journaling practice. And finally, ask for what you need. Share your needs with others so they can help hold you accountable as you strive to meet them. I started adding my good friend to my exercise calendar invites, and she calls me right before to make sure I'm going to exercise. So that's another great way to just think about how to activate relationships, your flock, to help you care for yourself when it's really hard to get the energy and the motivation to do it on your own. And you can provide the same kind of service to any of your friends or coworkers who are needing that extra support or accountability. If we're thinking about this on a staff level, how can we create a culture of empathic relationships to support and build resilience? You can think about creating structures for relationships. Some ideas include connecting and regulating meeting rituals like check-ins and check-outs at our organization. The first 5 minutes of every meeting, everyone gets to just say what's on their mind, what they're feeling, what they're bringing in. They air it out, then we could put it down and be present. And for checkout, similarly, we air out how we're feeling as we're leaving, sharing any feedback. It creates a nice bookend to the relation to the meetings and allows for a little bit more of a human touch and human connection. Begin the healing process for yourself and fellow educators. Create space for staff to process their feelings and be heard so they can do the same for students. And then finally, we really do recommend that professional development in trauma and or empathic communication. Just knowing about what you all learned today, the science of learning and development, and how relationships play such a critical part in that, and the skills to then take it to the next level using relationships are very, very critical. As we close out today, I want you to take, I'm sorry, this is one last thing I wanted to share with you, and Jane can chat this out. We have a great free resource on empathic listening if you want to get a hold of those sentence stems and a little bit more information that was shared today. You can go on our website and download this at any time. So as we close out today, I want you to take a moment to reflect on what resonated with you. What might you apply yourself to begin healing as an individual and healing together? Feel free to chat out your ideas or your action steps into the chat. And we're really looking forward to continuing to be in relationship with you. If you want to learn more about our work, you can visit our website and learn about our many different programs that are all about bringing the science, skills, and self-awareness to educators. And finally, I wanted to just bring your attention to a few upcoming free events that you can also find on our website. Those empathy circles where you can firsthand experience that support and that collective care. Empathy School, we're giving away our training, our flagship empathy training for free to a select group of educators. And finally, an info session if you want to learn more. Last but not least, this Thursday, we're being invited at the district management group to do a virtual roundtable on how we can support staff through burnout. And you're welcome to sign up today for this Thursday's event. All of that will be welcome, provided in the chat and hopefully in follow-up messaging. And I just wanted to say as the last word before question and answer opens, how grateful we are for you educators. We see you. We're so thankful for your service and your dedication through one of those trying times in education history. And we love you. So with that, I don't know, Mary Jane, if you want to open up and facilitate Q&A, but really looking forward to hearing your questions.
Do we have any questions? Thank you, Megan, so much for that presentation. And do we have any questions for Megan? You can write them in the chat. I don't know if you can unmute. I think you wowed them, Megan. Does anybody have a question? And you will be able to unmute yourself.
Welcome questions or comments, feedback, reflections that you had throughout this. We would love to hear from you.
Well, personally, Megan, for myself, it gave me a lot to think about as, you know, all of us are stressed, no matter if we're in the classroom or outside the classroom. So thank you for those words, because I think it really does help all of us to really think about our actions and just reflect upon what we need for ourselves. So thank you. Other comments or reflections?
Megan, this is Caroline Price from Dongola School. Thank you very much for being here today. And what you have offered will definitely help me. I find I'm being the resilience for two of my grandchildren who live with me, and parents having issues, major issues. And it's like, I know we do some self-regulation work. I know I've been that safe place where the kids can go when stuff is going on in the house, but we also need to do some of that reflection, I think. And those are the pieces that I've been missing in trying to be that resilience for them. And of course, it will help me with my students in the classroom. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Not
Caroline.
me to do that.
You cut out a little bit towards the end, but I think I caught most of what you said. It sounds like you are applying a lot of this to your personal situation and your grandkids at home. And it sounds like you already sort of knew that you were serving as that safe haven for them, but you've gotten some even more strategies for how you can even more intentionally do that. And I heard you hooked onto the reflection piece, and I really encourage you to use that as a tool. You cut out a little bit towards the end, but I think I caught most of what you said. It sounds like you are applying a lot of. Oh, now I'm having some. Oh, sorry, I'm having some echo back on my end, some feedback on my end, but can you all hear me okay? Thumbs up if so. Yes, you can. Okay, sorry. My voice started feeding back to me. I was like, who's talking? It's me. So essentially the way that I have used that, for example, with my own child is whenever he experiences distress, I first try to name the emotion. Oh, wow, you're really frustrated with that. And then sometimes I say, do you want me to tell you the story of what happened? And then he'll be like, yes. And so then I'll just really walk through the story. You really wanted to play with that toy. He's young, right? So your students will be older, but he's only 4. You really wanted to play with that toy and you just got it from your grandma. And so you're so excited. Then your baby sister came along and grabbed it from you and that made you mad. And he'll just be like, yes, yes, yes. So he's sort of like soaking it in because all of a sudden this kind of tangled up emotion now is sensible to him, makes sense. And when he was really young, he would have me tell the story over and over and over. And that's great. That repetition makes the brain learn. So good luck using that reflection tool and using story as a tool to help folks process and understand the trauma that they've experienced.
Megan, there is some comments in the chat. One was referencing, to find it again, that the tears, my favorite fact today was that tears actually remove the stress element from the body.
Yes, I do love that. I love that comment. I'm also having trouble with the sound. I didn't know if it was just on my end. But once I learned about those factors that build resilience, whenever I go through a challenging time, I actually have changed my mindset about it. And I see it as an opportunity to actually develop resilience. Because if you don't ever have a struggle and then practice with returning to a state of calm, and utilizing those strategies, reflection, relationships, regulation, you actually don't get the opportunity to develop and grow your resilience. And so it's been a really powerful frame change for me whenever I'm in distress, whenever I'm in the red or the blue zone, to say, okay, what are my core strategies for myself to get calm again? Who can I call up? Even though sometimes it's the last thing I want to do. I don't want to talk to someone about my problems. I just want to kind of go be by myself, but I know what's going to pull me out. If I can talk this out, if I can feel heard, if I can feel not alone. And it's very powerful how much more quickly you can move through experiences of distress with those strategies. So thank you for sharing. I do love that, the kind of validation to cry and release and let it out, because I do think our society has built up, we have a lot of kind of defenses or reasons why we think that's actually something weak. We shouldn't do it, but literally it is actually builds our brain and our strength and our resilience.
Would I be able to speak to the relationship part that you brought up? Hello?
Yes,
Sorry,
Lori,
can you say
please
that one
do.
more time, Lori? You
I
cut out
said,
a little.
I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about the relationship part, because in preschool, I worked there 30 years and some of our kids would come in so sad. So I asked if I could be our building door greeter in the morning for all of our kids when they come in, because I think everybody needs to be called by name. And I think they also need to be given a good morning, or it's wonderful to see you, or I'm so glad you're here. And when I came to the high school, I kind of carried that with me. And between each hour, I stand in the hallway, the morning and the afternoons, talking to the kids. Good morning. It's Tuesday. Have a great day. And for my retirement, because I'm retiring after 42 years, my coworkers had all the kids fill out cards. And every day I get a few. They're just kind of letting me have a few at a time. But it's always such a happy, sad time. But the majority of these cards are from the kids telling me that good morning meant so much to them. And usually I think they're rolling their eyes and going, oh, please be quiet. But they said, thank you so much for that, for making me feel like, I'm here. And then one student really hit my heart when she wrote, thank you for seeing me, even though I'm invisible. And that just really resonated with me, and how much we need to have relationships with these kids. They need us to do that.
That is so beautiful, Lori. First of all, congratulations and thank you for your long and very meaningful career in education. What a huge accomplishment, and I'm sure it's bittersweet to be kind of in this season of transition. But I just recognize so much in your story about how educators have these very deep-seated experiences of engaging in relationships, and then it might be months, weeks, months, or years later where they get that feedback of, it was that one little thing that you did that changed everything for me. And so what I hope this presentation does for all of you is affirm those experiences, not only based in your own kind of like reality, which hopefully you kind of already can trust that, but to say that the science 100% backs up everything that you've experienced, that any amount of warmth, connection, outreach, and safety that you create to make your students or fellow staff feel like they belong, that they're seen, that they're accepted, that they're safe, literally changes lives. And so thank you so much for that. I think a lot of times, like you said, like in preschool setting, folks are, like, oh, let's just make it really warm and beautiful. But maybe as the kids get older, we lose touch with that. And so I do think that's beautiful to bring back that warmth to the school environment, even with older kids. I mean, even with adults, we all need that.
I found out with the kids that I had in preschool that are in high school for the last few years they all tell me it's just the same as it was in preschool, so that means a lot. Sorry. Boys and girls Thank you. But it has been a labor of love, and one that I have enjoyed, and one that I'm going to miss. So thank you.
I'm sure all those kiddos and your colleagues will miss you a lot too. And thank you again.
I'm going to pop on and just say I was fortunate enough to work with Lori at Sparta High School. And Lori, that wasn't true just for the kids. It was true for the faculty too. What you did for your students and what we do for our students is good for the teachers. It's good for faculty. It's good for administrators. We are the ones who are supposed to give and 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 not get anything back. And so Lori, watching you do that, like, you just gave us all and recharged all of our energies every single day. Like, I'm smiling so big right now. I want to hug you, but like, that was good for your faculty and as well. And it's why you're so damn beloved. God, we love you. We love you. Love you. Mhm.
So beautiful. So we have about a minute left. We can possibly take one more question, and if there's or comment, and if not, I just wanted to say how grateful I am for the opportunity to be here with you all. And I do hope that this sticks with you, resonates with you, and that you join our community, get on our website, join our newsletter, so you can stay in touch with additional resources and support. So thank you so much, Mary Jane, and everyone else.
Thank you, Megan. We really do appreciate you joining us and just those wonderful words. I'm going to turn it over to Lindsay Powell.
Hello. Yes, Megan, I just want to say I see a lot of thank yous and a lot of appreciation in the comments. So thank you. And Lori, thank you also. Before we go to breakouts, I just want to say that professional development hours and continuing education units will be offered. The Illinois Education Association is offering the PDHs, and the CEUs for our social workers and counselors will be offered by SIU Medicine. To receive PDHs or CEUs, you must complete of course, the entire conference, including the breakout session, as well as the conference evaluation. So after the breakout, we will come back to the main room. And at that time, we'll do some giveaways, and then we will also share the link to the evaluation so that you can get your PDHs or CEUs. I think we can go to breakouts now. And just a reminder, you do not have to do anything. All breakout rooms have been created, so you will go there automatically. And then at 3:15, the breakout session ends, and you will return automatically to the main room. So at this time, we'll go to breakouts. If you do not go to a breakout, that may be because your Zoom is not updated. So send a message in the chat if you are not placed in a breakout room.
Let's give Megan a round of applause. Thank you, Megan.
Just bear with us a minute and we will move you guys all to breakout rooms.
All of us are used to teaching during the pandemic, so we completely get technical difficulties.
We appreciate the grace.
I'm good. If you haven't been taken to your room yet, you need to accept the invitation that was sent to you. Lindsay, Mary Jane, Sandra, if you want to go to a room, let me know in the chat which room you want to go to, or unmute yourself and let me know and I'll send you to that room.
Hi, this is Sandy. I'm okay to wait. That's okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sandra, could you tell us which grades you work with at your school?
Hi, my name is Sandy Hupp, and I'm actually with NAA Member Benefits. I'm an affiliate relations representative, so I'm not an educator.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. Did you
Yeah.
want to visit one of the breakout rooms, or you want to just wait out for a little bit?
Yeah, I'm just gonna hang out.
Gotcha. All right, thank
Yeah,
you.
no worries. Thanks for checking.
Sarah, I'm just gonna hang out till it's done.
That sounds good.
All right. Great job, by the way, earlier. So thank you.
Hey, you too.
Caroline, are you there?
Jackie, she's not. I called her.
Is she in her room?
She's in her room.
Okay, that's what I thought. I don't know why she's lingering out here in the participants.
Yeah, she's
Because
not.
I show her in a room, so.
Yeah, she's in the middle school, junior high. I think maybe I talked to her on the phone and she said she was in with Jenny Bruner and I don't know why this is hanging out here. So
Well,
maybe
at
she's
least
on
she's
two
there.
devices by accident or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Well, I think we figured out what happened is I created the rooms and I put everybody in a room.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm the one technically that should have opened the rooms.
Oh,
What time do you want me to close them? Do you still want me to close them at 2:15 or 3:15?
3:10 is when we're gonna
3:10.
close them.
Yeah.
Okay.
3:10.
So just send them a message at like 3:05 telling them they have 5
Mhm.
minutes.
Sounds good.
Or I guess I can-
Actually, you're right, Jackie. It's 3:15. Send a message at 3:10, but I can send that message, Jackie.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
that's cool. Yep. Sounds good.
Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thanks, Jackie. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Just go with the flow.
That's right.
That's what I had to do when Megan called me out. So
Well, that's good that there's not that many people. It was easy to reassign. It was easier for me to reassign people than to go through and manually place them in rooms. So that's why it
Mhm.
took just a little bit long, there
Yeah.
at first, but
it worked out though.
that's right. All right.
So
I'm
quick
good.
question, whenever this is over,
Mhm.
do y'all edit it to take out the back gaps or not?
Not
You
really.
can, Jackie, have Brandon Macier edit it if you wanted if you want to open a request in Asana. You can ask that he edit it.
Okay.
Just so you know, you can do that, Jackie.
Okay. You want me to send it to him?
Yeah, I would wait till you get the recording first and then see if it's something he can do. It's probably something he can do though.
Hey, they can hear us in the breakout rooms.
Oh, okay.
Okay, welcome back. We hope you enjoyed your breakout session. Just a moment. Okay, so thank you so much for attending. But before we end the day, we would like to do some giveaways. Before we do that, I would like to take a moment and thank our sponsors. Our sponsors for today are SIU Medicine, Center for Rural Health and Social Service Development, IEA NEA, Resilient Southern Illinois, California Casualty, NEA Member Services, McKendree University, and WSIU Public Broadcasting. So thank you to all of those. And now let's draw some names for some giveaways. Okay, so Jackie's going to help us with this, and we're going to spin the wheel to draw some names. If you are a winner of a door prize, Jackie Welch will reach out to you and the vendor so that you can make arrangements to either pick up or have your item that you won sent to you. So, all right, so the first one is a $25 Amazon gift card from California Casualty. And that goes to Christina. I'm probably going to say your name wrong, so I'm just going to say Christina and hope you see it on the screen. And then we have another $25 Amazon gift card also from California Casualty. And this one will go to Brandy Smith. Yay. Next, we have a $15 Starbucks gift card from the Illinois Education Association. And Lynn Graves, you're the winner of one of those.
And Lindsay, do we know whether they're here? Whether they're still here?
Jackie, can you answer that? I believe they should have only been the names if they're here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's see. Next, we have another $15 Starbucks gift card from the Illinois Education Association. And this one is going to go to Karen Jurek. Hi, Karen. Now let's do a $25 Target gift card
Thank
from
you.
NEA Member Benefits. And this one goes to Crystal Mofield. We have another $15 Starbucks gift card from the Illinois Education Association, and this one is for Anessa. You're the winner of that one. Next is the one more $15 Starbucks gift card from the Illinois Education Association. Rachel Hill. Next, we have a WSIU tote bag and cup from WSIU Public Broadcasting. Candy Glover, you're the winner of that one. Thank you. Next, we have a tumbler and a few other items from McKendree University. Alicia, carry on us. And let's see, another one from McKendree University is a tumbler along with some other items. We actually have 2 more of these. Cayman Rosado. And our last one from McKendree University, tumbler along with some other items. Goes to Tammy White. So thank you so much to all of those that donated items. Congratulations to our winners. Again, Jackie Welch will connect the winners to the vendors and discuss details as to how to get you your prizes. So now I would just like to remind you again that we are offering PDHs and CEUs. PDHs for educators and CEUs for our social workers and counselors. To receive those, you must complete the conference evaluation, which I'm about to post in the conference chat box. And then also, I just want to say, if you are requesting CEUs, you will indicate that on this survey, and then you can expect to receive your certificate of completion from SIU Medicine within about 1 to 2 weeks after the evaluation link closes. So that will probably be 2 to 3 weeks from today. So I'm going to post that here in just one moment. And then I think that concludes everything. We'd like to thank you for coming, and hopefully we'll see you next year at Closing the Gap in person at Johnny Logan College. So stay tuned for a save the date coming soon.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
I echo that. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, SIU, for your help. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I guess I'll just end it for everyone if you're all right with that. Okay.
Do we want to give them a couple minutes to make sure they got the evaluation link?
Oh, that's right. Forgot about that. That is important. I need to get it in case someone calls me. Looks nice, Lens.
Thank you.